What's good, anime enthusiasts? Welcome to yet another episode review for Liar Game. Now, I'm actually not surprised. I'm actually happy that I mistakenly did not do one last week in order to do two this week, because now these two actually tell us like the end of the Contraband game. And I'm glad I actually watched these two back to back, because now I can fully see like an overall picture of how everything played out, and it makes me appreciate more just the other games that happened and how everything was told in this way. I think this is like one of the best games that they've done in sort of like a story beat kind of way, where we have Akiyama now on one team and we have multiple like side characters, so to speak, that are actually contributing to the game. And not only are they causing us problems, we need to not only figure that out, but also go against the other team. And on the other side, we have the actual villain. We have the main big bad evil guy that we're going up against. And then we have his set of side characters that he's dealing with and how they're interacting with him. And then how everything intermingles in this one entire game. And I was first, while watching episode 18, I was thinking, man, this is kind of like dragging out a little bit longer. But I had to be patient enough to understand how and why everything is being told. So far during the whole Contraband game, we've been getting only Akiyama and Nao's side, their team, the day team. We've been getting everything from their perspective. Then once we around, if I remember correctly, episode 17 is when we actually get to more of Yokoya's side. Actually 16, but we get more of Yokoya's side and how he is thinking about the game and how he has been maneuvering his people. Now we get to see a battle, two minds, Akiyama versus Yokoya, and it's more like a 1v1, but underneath it, it's more of a team versus team, or more or less Yokoya versus everyone else. So how do we get there? Well, let's begin with episode 18, Caution. So the episode begins with Yokoya explaining what happened in the previous episode and what has been going on in the game so far. And Yokoya has been sniffing out he sniffs out a likely plan that Akiyama is going to do, is that Akiyama thinks that the day team is going to put all their money on a single card and just leave it somewhere. And then somebody on the night team, his team, is going to take that card and deposit it into the ATM. So that's one idea. He also thought of the idea that Akiyama might be actually lying, that he hid the money, calling Akiyama's bluff. And so Yokoya wants to go, all right, you accept the offer. We're going to call his bluff. And Yokoya wants the bandana guy to be the next smuggler. Get the money, bring it over to the night side, but don't deposit it. And if he does, he'll get 100 points and basically be absolved of all the wrongdoings and traitorous things he's done. So Bandana Man flashes the card to signal Akiyama, hey, yo, tell me where the money is. But Akiyama doesn't budge. So Yokoya thinking, okay, Akiyama must be suspecting something is going on. Makes sense. Two smart guys are going about it. They're trying to think about all possible angles. Oddly, here's a funny thing. Oddly, we get a scene where Nerko, the blue proctor, comes back from fixing a speaker in the day team's room. Remember that. We're going to get back to that. But Bandana Man, he goes and he confirms that Akiyama has suspicion, and Akiyama asks questions. And Bandana Man explains to Akiyama that how the card system that Yokoya has in place, ensuring that no one betrays him, and it's pretty airtight on anyone on the night team betraying from Yokoya. Basically, Yokoya has everyone's cards and he divvies out everyone's card to go to smuggling. However, they don't get their own personal card to get somebody else's. So if they try to betray, then they know who betrayed. Even though Bandana Man didn't get the card's location, he begs for a second chance or a third chance, another time he can get it. But unfortunately, nobody on the team trusts him, and he gets slugged by Hasegawa. So the third smuggler, the supposed third traitor, Hasegawa, he's declared, and then he's going to get the card's location. Cool. After the inspection, he actually wheels a card of money near the room. Yokoya sees it, and then he's like, okay, cool, everything's going well. But the question still remains, what did Akiyama tell Hasegawa? And so he asks, yo, what did he tell you? And Hasegawa says, well, Akiyama didn't say anything. Not really any relevant. Okay, all right. Maybe Akiyama's like planning something else, or maybe he just sees the writing on the wall and he's almost giving up. So Hasegawa goes up again, and he goes up against Nao, and he reports back. Nao didn't say anything or anything relevant. So Yokoya's like, all right, that 1.9 billion that we still need to account for is stashed somewhere, and they will need to get it into their third country account. Okay, so the night team has a new plan by Yokoya. Let the day team try to lose while they increase their money in their third account. So they do so. They go about it. The day ends and the tally is shown. And Yokoya, now seeing upon everything, he sits and he just thinks upon the best possible scenario the day team has in order to turn things around. So the final day appears. There's only like a few, like 16 rounds left. So Yokoya goes like, all right, I'm going to be the smuggler and the inspector for the rest of the rounds. And in the same vein, Nao also becomes the inspector and the smuggler. And so we get a montage of rounds going on. We don't really see the results of the rounds. And the episode ends on a cliffhanger as the proctor says, all right, here goes the totals. So cool. All of these previous setups now lead into this final episode. The speaker problem is going to come into light into episode 19. And everything else that you've seen before, if you remember all the questions that they asked, like how is the game done? How is money supposed to be done? What are the loopholes, or I guess the workarounds that the whole teams are using, like taking the money out of the ATM and putting it somewhere else? Like everything is there. How do you issue a new card? All of that is going to come into light as to how which team won and the tactics used. So let's get into it. Episode 19. Solidarity. So one of the members of the night, at the beginning of the episode, one of the members of the night team apologizes for what they said. Well, what did they say? So Yokoya previously declared that when he goes in, he's going to guarantee the team like 500, 600, possibly like a 500, 600 million, or probably $1 billion dollars in profit. Yen in profit, my bad. Well, unfortunately, if both ATMs are supposedly supposed to be empty, how is any team supposed to smuggle the money? Which makes sense. If we're thinking like the only money left is on the cart and both ATMs are empty, well, Yokoya is going to take that money on the pallet, deposit it at ATM, withdraw it, and use it to confiscate and use it in the actual game. And his plan is to confuse the other team. Like, wait, hold on, your ATM is supposed to be empty. Where'd you get all this money? So it's a montage of Yokoya putting his plan into action. And now we can see some of the results of the rounds. Now does look confused. She looks fooled and she fumbles. And Yokoya is just winning almost every single round, like getting the money across into the third world country account. And now, finally, we get to see the actual results as everyone heads to the first floor and they will speak out if they want to. And so Yokoya, of course, the dictator, boldly steps forward and commends Akiyama for their plan of hiding the money, and he declares himself the victory. However, Akiyama says, yo, we never hid the money. We actually fell for your trap. And then there's a sigh of relief over the night team because they see the final results. And the night team actually won on the account of, the third world country bank account is actually bigger than the other teams, so they win. But there's kind of a problem. Remember, both ATMs are supposed to be quote unquote empty. So what's the deal with the the money on the cart? And so the staff is like, yo, we found this money out here on the game venue. There's a mismatch in the cash totals. Okay, so they take the time and they show the results, and they take the time to count everything, and they show the results of the ATM. And it shows that the day team has 3.3 billion in their ATM bank, and the night team has 0. It just happened. What is going on? The whole night team was confused and confuzzled. It's like, oh yo, hold on, that's weird. So Akiyama steps forward and he boasts, and he begins to explain what went down. So yes, Akiyama did bluff, and he does admit again, like he said before, like, yo, our 3 members, they fell for your trap. We were gonna, be hopeless about it, but there's something, we saw something. We did get your 3 team members on the night team to turn traitor. And basically the bandana guy and the other guy, they were playing along. they pretended to betray the other during their whole little small confession game, and Hasegawa was the turncoat the entire time. So all the previous episodes that we saw of like us being focused on Yokoya and how he was seemingly in control, he really wasn't. The moment that Yokoya decided to put trust in Hasegawa, the game was over. Because Hasegawa was the one who actually moved all of the money. And Akiyama explains like, yo, you had a nice little surveillance on 19 going on. It was airtight. You got snitches going on with the voice recorders and everything. But they managed to communicate using the very same voice recorders that you gave out to them. They just passed it around to communicate to each other, and it was easy to palm and see. They just recorded messages, you hear it, boom, it's done. And so the dating, of course, ends the game with 1.2 billion. Cool. However, one member on the night team is a little unconvinced on how their ATM's empty. How did it happen? Well, Akiyama and Hasegawa explained that they managed to get a new card that Hasegawa has. How did he do it? Remember the speaker that was broken in the Dayteam's room? Akiyama broke it, and he used it to damage the card that Hasegawa had, just enough to where it wouldn't be visible to like a physical inspection. So Yokoya got the broken card hold on. So after they broke it, they got their new card issued, but they received both the new card and the broken card. So they gave the broken card to Yokoya to make him think, okay, it actually went through. And Akiyama got the actual card. So when it was Akiyama's turn, he just went over to the ATM, moved all that money, and boom, there you go. And Yokoya has been mostly stone cold faced during this whole entire thing. Yeah, sure, his eyes opened up a little bit here and there and he grunted, but he was more stone cold. And then he asked the other three, the traders, like, yo, how much money did you get for betraying me? And they said that, okay, they promised us we'd be getting away debt free. And Yokoya just laughs. He's like, what you mean? They ain't got enough money to bail out everybody. And Akiyama explains that, yo, since there's going to be another loser revival after this game, they'll go 400 million into debt to save everyone. And the episode ends. Okay, small gripe out of the way. I kind of wish there wasn't another losers revival. I hope we were going on to the next round, but that sort of makes sense because the day team did lose, so they're supposed to be out of the tournament and pay up the debt and be in debt. But however, there's gonna be another loser revival for the whole Liar Game tournament to, you know, put them back in and keep the cycle going. Baby, let's go. So I guess another loser revival is in place and it needs to be done. That's fine, because the night team won and they're going on to the next round anyway. So it sounds like we might get this whole entire group to go through it again. But we also have Yokoya as, I guess, a villain, as he's still going on as well. So next few episodes will probably lose a revival with the day team, how they're going through, unless there might be some other way that some other people might be coming into the game as well, some new characters, some new faces, some new challenges. That's cool. But I really want to highlight how everything about the Contraband game came back to the end. Like way in the beginning when Akiyama asks, yo, what happens if you lose a card? What happens if it gets damaged? And they give you an explanation. Those were like little small like game details on how the structure of the game works, but it's also key details on how you could manipulate or use the game's like open-ended rules or interpretation to your advantage. Akiyama keyed it, logged it in. Probably you won't use it now, but later on he'll have a plan for it. And it goes to show you, for Yokoya's sake, that he is very good villain, but it also shows how very weak he was. Remember that Akiyama said that when he got those three traitors, it was good to get those three, to give them hope, because if you give them hope, all three of them will have a bond with each other, and that tight-knit bond will allow them to get the strength in order to go up against Yokoya. And it actually happened. All three of them worked together, also with Akiyama, but mostly those three, to fool everyone else on the night team and Yokoya to get through. all Yokoya needed to hear was the very simple, I did it, boss. I did this, I did that. Yo, he's a traitor over there. Let's get on him. As long as there was a third person or somebody else that was in the know and were able to play it off easily because someone else was a traitor and the other person like still acted on it, that's cool. That whole communication and actor play was enough to fool everyone on the team and Yokoya. Yokoya thought he was on control. Nah, not really. He didn't realize that some of the rats on his team were actually eating away at him slowly and crumbled his whole entire empire. And it goes to show that not only in this game, but in actual life, that all you need is just a few people with a strong bond, like, or under a common cause or under the same banner to really do anything big and amazing. Doesn't take much. You don't even need violence. You just need some nice stealth, subterfuge, and good planning, and you're good to go. And that's a beautiful thing about it. With that being said, can't wait to see what else we have going on. I wonder if we'll actually end with like the top of the end of the tournament. Actually, I don't know how many more episodes we got. It might seem like we get 24, 25, and with 20 on the way, it seems like we got 5 more episodes. So I really don't know if we get to the end or not. But if we do, cool. I mean, we got Yokoya still. He's still around. He's lost, but he's still here. He's still acting high and mighty, which is still fine. You know, they defeated him in like battle, but they haven't won the war against them. So we'll see how Yokoya acts around the others. And we'll see if Nao gets more time in the spotlight. I still love Nao. But with that being the case, hope y'all enjoyed the journey so far. Comment down below anything that I may have missed, anything that you want to say, or anything in the episodes thus far. I read them, comment on them if I can. Oh, also appreciate some of you for saying that of, I guess, my naturalness of it. I'm just reviewing it and not actually like doing AI or whatever. You know, it is what it is. Just going with the times. Just be genuine, just be truthful, all that good stuff. Appreciate the kind words nonetheless. But with that being said, hope all of you have a good day, night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I hope your day is just a little bit better than it already is. With that, we will catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.